Hey, welcome everyone. This is Victor's Wagon 360, and today, yeah, let's just turn the music off. It can be a bit distracting. Yeah, today, I'm gonna do exactly what most of you have been waiting for, which is basically hacking. Modding Lego Star Wars: The Force Awakens, and pretty much any other Lego game that basically has been released by Telltales. So in this one, as you can see, I have the Superspeed mod and Superjump mod as well. But as I showed in one of the videos before, there's a super jetpack mod that I made, and at the moment it's not active. So basically, if you jump and try to fly around, you only fly for a little bit and you don't really hover as high. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do that, and yeah, basically I'm gonna be showing you how to mod some specific stuff that most of people pretty much would like to have. So let's exit the game, Alt F4, and this is my temporary folder for all the files that can be modded. Now, how did I actually get here is, well, I obviously created it, the folder, but if you go to your folder with the game, and if you haven't seen my previous videos, they should be somewhere at the top there, and they basically describe on how to extract the file archives from Lego games. So, but just in case you haven't seen it, I'll just give you a quick demonstration. So you download the Quick BMS software, and you double click it. You don't have to place it in the same folder as the game, but it is preferable. So yes, I want to run it, and first thing they ask me is what do I want to extract with, so which BMS file I need to use to extract. I have TT Games, Telltale Games, apologies, Travel Tales Games, completely wrong company there, .bms. You can see the links under the video in case you're wondering where I got them from. So double click that. Then for this particular one we want the game2.dat, and that is basically placed in the same folder as the game executable. So next thing we do is double click that DAT file, or whichever file contains the files that you want to mod. In this case it's game2, and now the output folder is going to be that one where I basically showed you I have all the folders, and I have created the folders especially for output files like this. Make sure you have loads of space, because if you look here, the game2.dat extracted files weighs about 4.10 gigabytes. Whoa. Yeah, so obviously go into that folder and click save. You will have nothing here because you would just created it. I'm not going to click it because I already have all the folders and files in there. So after you have clicked save, I'm going to click cancel. You go to that folder with the temporary extracted archives, and make sure you copy whichever folder you have basically extracted the files to. I personally call it game2.dat-modded, and basically when you go into the actual folder, we need to look for abilities in this case, And this is where the magic most of the time happens. We have loads of abilities to edit, to choose from, to look at, and we can actually experiment a little bit, see how the game works. So if we go to chars folder, that's where most of the abilities are. And in our case, we need to get the hover.txt ability. That's the one we're going to edit. So once we open it up, we can have a look at different types of hover abilities. So there is a hover ability for standard jetpack that some of the characters have, and there is a Boba Fett hover, especially for Boba Fett, obviously, and you can change pretty much all aspects of the gameplay in here. So you have height, how high he can hover, like you can put 2.8 instead of 0.8, so when he jumps and starts hovering, when you double tap the jump button, he goes higher. The speed obviously changes how fast it carries you in the world or in the hub, wherever you are. So you can put 4.1 for really fast, like 7.1 or whatever. And the max time is basically how long you can hover before the jetpack automatically deactivates. Even after you keep holding the button, the jetpack normally deactivates. I normally put it at 99.3 or whatever. And yeah, again, I'm not gonna save it, and you shouldn't either, because guess what? Don't save. You need to mod the in the folder that has backup files. So this is the actual folder that has the files, or in my case the file that will be used to re-import into the archive. So we go here. As you can see, I removed all the other folders beforehand, so I only have one folder in here, one folder in here, one folder in here. I keep the file structure all the same and folder structure. Now if I click here, I already modified the file. So as you can see, standard jetpack have bigger values. Speed is 4.1 rather than 1.1. Height is 2.8 instead of 0.8. So pretty much everything I've said I've done to the jetpacks. And 99.3 is the max time. So yeah, Jango Fett is also the separate jetpack options, but I didn't touch it because, well, I just don't really play as him. So yeah, now that we have our new file, make sure that you remove all the files that would be in original, but you have to remove them from the modded folder. So all the folders and all the subfolders, you have to remove all the other folders and files that you do not need to re-import. Now the other important thing is, just in case, you have to remove some of the symbols to make sure the file is no larger than the original, because when you re-import the file, it needs to be the same size or smaller than the original file, because otherwise it will not re-import. So, but I did that by just removing the comments, basically everything that goes on the line after these two dashes, slashes or not, slashes or dashes, not sure how to say it. Yeah, and basically you can remove pretty much anything after them, and that is how you reduce the file size, just in case, just to be on the safe side. I know you just change one number to another number, but at some point I changed one number to two numbers, so yeah. So now that you have your only file in your only subfolder, you need to import it. So how do we do that? Well, we go to Lego Star Wars Force Awakens folder where our quick BMS and all the tools are. Well, that's where I keep my tools, and we click on reimport.bat, the batch file, basically contains the information for re-importing rather than extracting the archives into the folders. So now it will actually import the files from folders into the archive. We click run, and we follow the same order, the same procedure. So we choose ttgames.bms, we choose the archives that we chose last time, which is game2.dat, and now we need to choose the actual folder that contains the new file, which is game2.dat modded. Now it will have only one subfolder, and that is why we actually needed to delete all the other folders, because if we had them, re-importing would take for ages, and I mean like really it could take for hours. Now it would only take several minutes, still quite a while, but yeah, we click save. Even though it doesn't actually save the files from the archive, it actually re-imports them. It still has the same button, and it asks you, do you want to use the experimental re-importing of chunk memory file? Basically you want to go for yes here, so you press Y and click enter. Now it will still take quite a while. It's re-importing loads and loads and loads of files, but it's not actually importing them from the folder, because there are no files there apart from one hover.txt that we are doing. So yeah, that is exactly how you make your new archive that will be used for playing the game. And while it's re-importing, seems like it's going to take for a while, so yeah, I'll show you what I've done with the other archive to make the Superspeed. So basically I made the same extracted folder for the game.dat, yeah, well, basically this archive, and basically yeah, I didn't put E between gam and dot, because, well, just to be able to distinguish that this is the folder and that is the actual archive file. So if you go to modded, you can see what I've done there. Characters, don't worry about items underscore txt for now. We need to worry about underscore include, and this file minifigs underscore shared.txt contains information about all minifigures that basically use this as a base. So what did I do here? Well, I obviously increased the running speed and the sprinting speed of the characters. I increased slightly the jumping distance. So it says jump speed here, but it's actually the jumping power, if you want to say that. And also what I've done was I added the ability. You can do that in the text file for the characters. You can add custom abilities. What I've done, I've added ability breadcrumb ghosts. Now, where did I take that from? It's actually not in the files for Star Wars The Force Awakens, Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens, but it is inherited from one of the previous games. Can you guess what it is? That's right, Marvel Avengers. Well, Lego Marvel Avengers. This is basically the line that you want to paste into the file somewhere. Doesn't really matter where. And yeah, as long as you paste it on the new line, so you have to click at the end of the line, enter, and then paste it. I'm obviously not going to do that because I've already pasted it here. So I will include this in the description of the video, so look below if you want to see what to include. And you can experiment with the values here, so ghost frequency, how much the ghosts appear, how long they stay for, fade out time, all that stuff. And basically you can just play around with the values, and once you've done enough changes, just make sure the file is the same size. So no, I don't want to save it. What you do is you click on properties here in the modded folder, and you go to original folder. That's why I need to back it up, and you click on properties here, and now you compare the two. So as you can see, the one in original folder is slightly bigger, which is good. It means that we can re-import the file without messing anything up. So let's see what is going on here. It's still re-importing the memory file. Yeah, this is going to take a while. Well, guess what? I think I'll show just another thing that you can play around, and that is the game data file, or basically a file included in game.dat, and that is in the chars folder, items_txt subfolder, and the sabers. You can guess what's going on here. That's right, most of the data for most lightsabers. Let's say you want to have a look at Darth Vader's lightsaber. At the moment, I'm trying to see if I can change the color of the lightsaber to something else. So you can basically set pretty much any color scheme for any lightsaber. So here it uses RGB, red, green, blue system, so it is mostly red, a bit of green, and none of the blue. So it's obviously going to be red. Now if we change the values, like say to 255, 21 and 200, then it's going to be more purple, for instance. But again, I'll leave that to you to experiment with. Just remember, you have to keep the file first of all backed up, and then you need to keep the re-imported file smaller, like less in size than the original, so that you can actually re-import it. And we can see that it re-imported. If you have some alerts, don't worry, as long as you don't have errors, that's the most important thing. We click enter and we test the game. So yeah, I'm gonna go here, DX11, okay. I'm not sure why the cursor is showing up, but yeah, you can pretty much see normal cursor when I minimize the game, and oh no, it's showing up normally. False alert, don't worry. Yeah, I always like the intros they make to make the Traveler's Tales symbol appear out of the surroundings. So now we're going to test the jetpacks from the original trilogy, basically Boba Fett's jetpack. Once it loads, anytime soon. Thank you. And there we have it. Yep. Whatever that guy said. Continue. Okay, we're back on Jakku, the huge planet to explore. Actually, no, I'm thinking it would make sense for the developers to include the larger values for the jetpacks outside of levels, like in freeform areas, so that you could just fly around as much as you want to and explore. Well, fair enough. So we can see the Quicksilver breadcrumbs. Let's test out the Boba Fett jetpack. Here we have it. You can fly for much longer, much higher, and much faster. Point proven. What about the normal jetpack?
The excitement, the sportsmanship. Now that's what this year was missing.
Yeah, obviously that's what we're missing. If I remember correctly, Avgar uses the normal regular jetpack, and it's now been upgraded as well. Look at this. Just fly around, free roam, enjoy your journey, and go wherever you want to go. Go over the objects. You have 99.3 seconds to hover. More than a minute, I think that's plenty. Reactivate, fly again. So, I hope that was educational. And remember, always back up the files, just in case, and also to compare with the original values. Thanks everyone for watching. That was Victor's Wagon 360. I hope you're not bored to sleep yet, and go have fun with modding. Victor's Wagon 360, out.